Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 12 and compare it against the iPhone XS Max and see how these particular phones hold up in 2025. Now, the big thing I can definitely tell you when it comes down to these types of devices is that these two phones are very, very interesting. The iPhone 12, is a newer type of device that's probably going to be giving you a better type of lifespan ahead of it. Whereas on the iPhone XS Max, we're now getting some updates that are kind of not being supported on the iPhone XS Max. So that might be a little bit more of a different type of device to go and buy when it kind of comes down to it. So in my personal opinion, I will definitely tell you, when you're going to go through and pick up something like the iPhone XS Max, this probably is not a device that is the first one I'd recommend buying, but something like the iPhone 12 might be a little bit better. So we'll take a look at it throughout this whole entire video. But if you do want to go through and pick up either one of these particular types of devices that I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of these particular devices. On the outside of the iPhone XS Max, this phone originally came out back in 2018. So it is, a little bit of an older type of device. It's approaching 7 years old now. And the front side of this particular phone is going to be giving you a 6.5-inch Super Retina OLED display. So this type of panel and this type of device is definitely going to be one of those types of panels that's going to be a little bit more interesting, right? It's just going to be a little bit of an older type of styling of a device. So it's not going to be anything super crazy that we haven't already seen before. It's just going to be a little bit of an older type of system. So that's kind of one of the ways to kind of think about it from that side, right? It's not supposed to be breaking any records. It's just supposed to be a good looking panel. You have the notch up top, and that's kind of what you're getting with this one. With the iPhone 12, this one's going to be a substantially smaller size display. So this one's going to be giving you a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So this one is going to be a much better looking panel in a majority of ways. It's going to look better. It's going to kind of perform better too. So this is one of those types of panels that is probably going to end up giving you an overall better type of experience. And I think for me personally, with something like the iPhone 12, this type of panel kind of looks a little bit better because it does give you substantially less bezel. So it's kind of cutting around, it kind of cuts out those rounded corners that we have on the iPhone XS Max. And it gives us this more modern approach on the iPhone 12, which I think for a lot of devices out there, that's the way a lot of phones are going, is this kind of flat edge side device. And that's going to be, I think, definitely a more better approach than something like the iPhone XS Max. They're both giving you lightning ports at the bottom. On the back side, they're both giving you these standard glass backs with these dual camera setups. So they're both giving you kind of the same type of layout for the most part there, which I think is a really nice thing. You're basically going to be able to go through and get the same type of experience here, which I think is good, but the cameras are a little bit different. The iPhone 12 is also giving you that MagSafe capability, where the iPhone XS Max is just going through and giving you that wireless charging capability, which I think is still sufficient enough. But it looks like to me you're probably going to be able to go through and maybe get a little bit of a better experience inside of something like the iPhone 12 for the most part, at least on the exterior, than something like the iPhone XS Max. So, at least from what I can see for the most part, if you're about to go through and pick up a device, it is kind of nice to be able to go through and buy a device on the iPhone XS Max that's going to be big and massive and give you that type of capability. But it might make more sense to look at something like an iPhone, 12 and try to give you a more modern type of design with those flat sides. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up there. Now, another big thing to keep in mind here too is that with something like the iPhone 12 and the XS Max, they're both giving you these camera setups on the backside, right? So they're all 12 megapixel sensors, which is nice. So you're going to be able to go through and get a 12 megapixel sensor all throughout, which is always going to be a nice thing to basically have here. So if you're going to go through and pick up a device, that right there is kind of a nice thing to have there. So like I said before, that's a nice thing. They're both giving you 4K at 60 on the back, but they're only giving you 4K at 60 on the front of the iPhone 12, whereas on the iPhone XS Max, you're getting 1080p on the front. So that right there is also going to be a slight difference because you're still going to be getting a little bit of a better experience here on the iPhone 12 than on the iPhone XS Max. On top of that, the iPhone 12 is actually giving you that, the ultra-wide camera inside of that phone, where the iPhone XS Max is only giving you that telephoto lens. So that right there is also going to be a slight difference. And if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, well, you're definitely going to look at something like the iPhone 12 as potentially giving you an overall better type of experience, especially when it comes down to that type of standpoint than something like the iPhone, XS Max. So from that side, I think that right there is another very, very big thing to kind of keep in mind there. Again, it isn't the biggest deal in the world, but if you are going to go through and pick up a phone, it could end up being one of those types of situations that you'll find yourself in of wanting to get a better type of device, especially when it comes down to that standpoint. So when it comes down to that, I think that right there is another one of those really, really big things to keep in mind there for the most part. So from that particular side, that kind of covers it up there too. On top of that, when it comes down to software longevity, this is also going to be another one of those really, really important things. So if you are wanting the device that is going to be giving you a longer lifespan when it comes down to software, you're definitely going to have to look at something once again like the iPhone, 12. This phone is still supported with software, and it still is going to be giving you software support inside of that type of device. So if you are wanting the phone that is going to be giving you longer software support, you're definitely going to have to look at something like the iPhone 12 because that one is still supported with software, and that one is basically the one that's going to be giving you more software support when it kind of comes down to it from that side. And with the iPhone XS Max, this one's kind of done getting software support. Even in battery life standpoint, the iPhone 12's battery size is smaller, but it's probably going to end up giving you better battery life because it's going to be giving you kind of a better length of, it's going to be giving you more optimized software when it comes down to it. So that right there is going to be another one of those advantages within that type of device, which might be another strong suit for that type of phone when it comes down to it as well. So albeit it's not the biggest deal in the world, but that could just be another one of those small things that you might end up seeing here for the most part as well. And performance-wise, this is also going to be another important thing to keep in mind here too. The performance of the iPhone 12 with its Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM is going to be faster than the iPhone XS Max's Apple A12 Bionic chip inside with basically 4 gigabytes of RAM. Although they're both giving you the same amount of RAM, you're still going to be getting a faster type of device inside of something like the iPhone 12 than the iPhone XS Max. And that's typically just what ends up happening here. So when I'm looking at something like the iPhone XS Max, I do like how it is giving you a bigger size display. It's a beautiful looking phone, and things like this phone still look and perform very, very well. But I look at something like the iPhone XS Max, and it just doesn't really hold up that well compared to something like the iPhone 12 in this particular scenario and in this particular situation as well. To kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I can definitely tell you is that in my personal opinion, I definitely do look at something like the iPhone 12, as being the better type of device here. That type of phone is definitely going to be the one that I would look at, and it's a really good looking device. I think if you're going to go through and pick up a device, this is the one that I'd recommend buying more so than the iPhone XS Max. But there's another device I'd recommend buying even more so than these ones, and that is basically the iPhone 13 Pro. I think an iPhone 13 Pro would be a really, really good device to go and pick up. And I feel like that one would make a lot more sense to go and buy rather than these ones as well. So there's a lot of different options here for the most part. But if I'm going to go through and pick up a device, like I said before, it definitely makes a lot more sense to go through and kind of buy one of those types of devices rather than this one. Even though I still think the iPhone 12 is a good phone too, I think the iPhone 13 Pro is a really good middle ground of having a flagship kind of and having a better device than these two. So from that side, that kind of covers it out there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.